What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be doing a video that's a little bit different than what you're used to seeing on my channel. I picked up a new race car, and here she is. It's a 93 Del Sol, and I got it for $300. And it may have been the worst $300 I've ever spent. This thing is shot beyond belief. When I picked this car up and I made the offer for $300, the guy accepted. It was kind of laying frame in a dirt hole that's been buried for like 4 years in this old guy's lawn. So I guess it was his son's car that he commuted to college with, University of Binghamton sticker on the window in the rear, and then Dutchess County Community College on the driver's door there. Regardless, this is a 93 Del Sol S. It's a 5-speed manual. It's got the D16 non-VTEC engine in it. And the further I'm digging into this thing, I'm finding some really incredible things with the amount of rust. So when I looked at the car, I couldn't really see under the frame, so I kind of just went off his good judgment and looked in the trunk, but all the trunk lining and fabrics and stuff were in here. So all I could look at was where the spare tire was. Now, that's all solid down there, so I said, okay, the car's can't be that bad. So when I got home, I towed it home, and I'm starting to just strip it apart now, because the plan with this car, you're probably laughing when I say it's a race car, but it is to make this into a 24 Hours of Lemons car. This thing is one of the most shot cars I've seen. So if we can pull this off, this will be one of the most shot cars I've ever seen at the track, really there. I've done 2 Lemons races. I mean, I haven't really seen much compared to what they've seen every weekend, but this thing literally has foot diameter holes through it of rust. Half the car is held together with expanding foam, pretty much. You can see inside the fenders here, expanding foam in there. I've been beating the rear of it with a mallet just to expose its weaknesses, and it's pretty bad, guys. It's really, really bad. It's kind of terrifying to think that we plan to run this down the track and do over 100 miles an hour into turns with this. That's besides the point, though. That's the Lemon spirit right there. So I just took the rear bumper off and the rear hatch piece from the Del Sol to expose all of the rust on this thing, and you can see straight into the car with that in the rear. This frame rail, as you can see there, is, I shouldn't say decent, but it's there. It's not deteriorated. Subframe is pretty nasty looking, but it is pretty solid. So the only thing I could see when I bought the car, or when I was taking a look at it, was really the subframes, and they looked solid, so I said, let's go for it. But now I got way more problems ahead of me. So you can see this is missing a huge chunk there, and this is really where it gets bad, is when you look at this side. There is no frame rail. I stabbed that out, and as you can see in the picture right now, I started stabbing through the trunk with a screwdriver and found there's really not much frame left in the car beyond the shock. I don't even know how stable it is way up there where the shock mounts. It is really crumbly and shit. This is just disgusting. The car smells absolutely disgusting, and this thing looks like it's definitely not worth $300, guys. I overpaid for this shit, but you live and you learn. I basically am just free junk removal for this guy. So this is the hilarious part. You come into the trunk, there's like this paper mache covering here. They covered up this gaping hole, and they freaking used a license plate to bridge the gap between what was left of the steel up here and to fill this hole. That is legit a license plate in there. If I take this whole thing out, you'll see that there's like a 16-inch long hole through the rear of this trunk. As I take you over here, you'll be able to see better the license plate fix. There she is. It's definitely a New York license plate. As you can see, we got all kinds of gobby shit in there. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this thing turns out. They pretty much just Bondoed over expanding foam. This fender's not metal anymore. It's like a freaking Bondo fender. Pretty rough. Car leaks like a sieve, as you can see. The driver's side, once I took the carpet out of the driver's side, it's all rusty on there. There's many holes through the floor. The top leaks, of course. There was a lot of rust underneath the window here. They even got a hole all the way through there, but the whole way around the window is just deteriorated beyond belief. And believe it or not, this bitch runs. After all that, she still fires up and runs. 286,000 miles on it. And yeah, so there is hope, but the funny thing is the reason I bought the car was to remove the engine, and we were going to put some kind of B series in it that we could find at a junkyard or get super cheap online, because we're not going to be winning any races or even competitive with 186,000 mile D15 that made 100 horsepower from the factory. You know, it's probably making 40 wheel horsepower at this point. Here's the project. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know if you think I'm crazy, if this is just the stupidest thing you've ever seen, the biggest waste of $300 you've ever seen, or just, hey, if you're all for it and you think it's going to be a good time, let me know, guys. I'm kind of excited, but also terrified at the same time about how this is going to go. It does have some sweet 16-inch OZ racing wheels from like 1996. Badass, but unfortunately one of them is bent, so I had to put the stock 13-inch wheel back on. It's got a 13-inch wheel with a, I think it's 4.5 inches wide or 5 inches wide, and it's got a 175/70 R13 on there. She's ready to do some sweet burnouts. But yeah, so the driver's side door is completely seized. Not sure how I'm going to get that out. So I took, the passenger door works, which is nice. I gutted the car already. First thing I did when I got home was gut it. As you can see, the floor on the passenger side ain't bad, but since this car leaked on the inside, the carpet held the moisture and the floor is pretty rotted. This is the bad one over here, as you can see. Many holes through the floor there. I guess you could argue that that beam is still good, so we're probably going to have to weld some members in there to mount a seat. Of course, I tore the dash all apart and all the center console and everything, but the dashboard is pretty freaking mint. So if you guys are looking for a nice mint Del Sol dashboard, hit me up, because this thing will be coming out of the car pretty soon here. Or this thing will be in the scrapyard. I'll update you on that soon. But all the lights work on the car, the cluster works, horn works, and yeah. I guess you could argue it's a decent purchase. If I threw a seat back in, this would be a pretty sweet field car. You could take off some gnarly jumps until the frame fell out of the bottom. But thanks for watching, guys. This is just a little update of the new project, Team Lemons 2020. Here we come. As you guys have seen in my channel, I've done a couple Lemons races at this point. So I've done New Jersey Motorsports Park a couple times. I did a Thunderbolt the first year in the Subaru Forester, and then this year I did it on Lightning with the same team in that Subaru Forester automatic, the Tide Pod squad. So trying to start my own team now with my dad and my buddy. So they kind of shook their head in shame when they saw this thing. They're like, why did you buy this shit? But hey, it is the true Lemon spirit. The only way I think we're going to be able to get away with putting a B series in this thing is how shitty the rest of the car is.